Have you ever played the Arma series? I can say the Arma series are the best military game. When I play Arma, I get so immersed that sometimes it feels like I'm playing a horror game. It's a Ghost Recon Breakpoint video. Why am I talking about Arma? In this video, I'm talking about how to make the boring Ghost Recon Breakpoint game more interesting. Of course, there may be people for whom this method doesn't work at all. In my experience, this method was helpful to me, so I would like to share it. I'm not sure, but most people playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint will probably be people who have played previous games in the series, or at least played Ghost Recon Wildlands. People who have played previous games in the series may have been disappointed the first time played Ghost Recon Breakpoint, because I was also very disappointed. I also had a lot of fun playing Ghost Recon Wildlands, so to me Breakpoint was so boring. The gameplay was very annoying, especially when you started in regular mode, like I did. It was too tempting to ignore the items in each color, and every time I loot a weapon, I compare and change it. Personally, I think regular mode should not have been applied to Ghost Recon series. It is not the Division series. Fuck gear levels. And this game also has Ubisoft's unique interface that is difficult to understand and lacks intuition. I still don't understand why Skills Board and Objective Board created such an inconvenient system where the screen cannot be zoomed out, so you have to drag it around with the mouse. And when I first played, I didn't know much and accepted all the episode's missions at once and side missions also, so the map became filled with numerous dots. The left side of the screen became complicated and I had no idea what to do next. Since I play the missions out of order, the story becomes jumbled. Even if you don't value the story, the game will feel very boring if the story is too confusing. When you first play, the notifications that appear in the upper left corner, let's learn how to ignore them as much as possible. You don't want to see these notifications. You can turn off the notifications option. If you turn this option when this notification is already on, nothing will happen. However, if you come back to this location, you will no longer see these notifications. However, even if you complete the missions in the future, you will not receive any notifications, so you will not know if you completed the mission correctly. So, I recommend that you just ignore all mission notifications at first and play step by step starting from episode 1. Anyway, Ghost Recon Wildlands and Breakpoint are completely different games. Ghost Recon Wildlands is a very interesting and fast-paced game with many civilian NPCs that makes feel more like living environments. Even though it's an old game, it's still good enough to be fun to play. However, I think Breakpoint is a game more for the military game fans. That's why I mentioned Arma at the beginning of the video. Of course, I know it's a bit too much to compare it to Arma. Still, the reason I mention Arma is because if you set the breakpoints as much as possible to like Arma, you can make the breakpoint more immersive and playable. Ghost Recon Breakpoint can also be made more difficult, more realistic, and even more horrifying. If you set it up like that, the gameplay becomes much more immersive and fun. The way I set it up is for people who are playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint for the first time, or who deleted the game because they were so bored after playing this. At the end of the video, I'll also show you things you can try once you become more familiar with this game. First, select an immersive experience, and the difficulty is set to extreme difficulty. Don't be scared, the game is still not as difficult as you might think. Even though it's extreme in my personal opinion, I feel it's only about the normal difficulty level of Ghost Recon Wildlands. And let's customize the tactical difficulty a bit. First, select Veteran difficulty and set Syringes Heal Injuries to off. If you set this to on, you'll probably never use bandages, and the game will be much easier. Ammo loss on reload is set to off. Turns off both teammates' special abilities and sync shot weapons display, because teammates' special abilities also make the game unrealistic and easy. The sync shot weapons display is just cosmetic, so it doesn't really matter if it's turned off or on. Next is the social and bivouac settings. If you set the social hub option to public, you can see other players on Air 1. If you want fast loading when entering Air 1, set it to group only. Then you will no longer be able to see other players in Air 1. For the shop at Bivouac and garage at Bivouac settings, all is recommended for those playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint for the first time. And interface. Set preset to minimal. Additionally, I recommend setting 3D markers loot to dynamic in the loot markers and shader settings. The minimap is, if you need it, turn it on and play, but it doesn't help much anyway. Unlike Wildlands, the damn thing doesn't even include navigation. And finally, set exploration mode to guided. Now, you are ready to go. One more thing, I recommend not using silencers except for hostage rescue missions. This may be my personal preference, but I feel that it is more fun to face enemies directly and fight. Now, let's look at the settings for those who are more familiar with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Of course, the difficulty level is set to extreme, and tactical difficulty, select elite. In the beginning, you will get injured frequently, which can be quite annoying, but as you level up, you will get a perk called Feel No Pain. And if you use it with the eating option in preparations in Bivouac, the risk of injury becomes similar to setting it to often. If you feel like you don't have enough bandages at the beginning of the game, it would be a good idea to start with the medic class and carry an extra medikit. It's a bit unfortunate that you lose bullets when reloading your weapon, but I think it helps with immersion by making you worry about how much bullets you're using up. Otherwise, you probably won't use your pistol like this very often. You don't need the HUD, just turn almost everything off. However, you can keep crosshair, mission reminder, notifications, gas filter, and HUD marker objectives as needed. And social and bivouac set to restricted. Then, you'll have to spend time walking to find vehicles and gather the ingredients needed to craft items. If you have a shop available on bivouacs, you'll probably never have to craft items. And that's it. This is the end of the introduction to the settings for playing Ghost Recon Breakpoint in a more enjoyable way. I hope this video helps you so you don't regret buying this game. Thanks for watching.